It's episode 13, everyone, of my Sith Inquisitor playthrough of Star Wars The Old Republic. We have been tasked by Lord Zash with going to some kind of giant unfinished statue that is the seat of a slave revolt. And I'm to go and find a holocommunicator. No, I cannot remember what the hell I'm supposed to do. Let's find out. I'm getting archaeological plans from some of the slaves. That's what I'm doing. I knew that. I knew it. Okay. On my Rocher Ice Cat. Dromancos is kind of dreary. It's a dreary place, suitable for the Empire. Okay, what is in here?
Exactly as reported. A Degree 6 revolt, population equivalent to the Duros uprising on Zilior. Subjects occupy a moderate radius of jungle. Good. Good. Welcome, apprentice. Your timing couldn't be better. I am Lord Drow. When the Empire encounters resistance on its conquered worlds, they call me. I'm here to end the slave uprising on Drum and Cass.
Okay. How am I supposed to respond to this?
I wasn't aware there was a slave revolt going on.
Very soon there won't be. You can assist me in ending it. Situation is this. A Sith Lord was constructing a colossal statue of himself in the jungle. His slaves revolted and armed themselves. The Colossus remains unfinished and well-armed slaves now control the jungle. An embarrassment for the Empire, but an opportunity for me.
Sounds like the perfect opportunity to thin the slave population.
Slave deaths will be a byproduct
well,
of
that's
my
not
plan,
really
but
what
not
she
the focus.
should have said at all. Oh, SOTOR.
Exactly as reported.
Why do you do this to us?
Welcome, apprentice. When the Empire...
I wasn't aware there was a slave revolt going on.
Very soon there won't be. You can assist me in ending it. Situation is this. A Sith Lord was constructing... The Colossus remains un...
What can these renegade slaves possibly provide you?
Test subjects, of course. A means of perfecting my techniques. I'm testing a toxic weapon, a poison called Quell. Its victims experience a prolonged state of agonizing pain before finally dying. The victims' allies are so horrified by Quell's effects, they lose their wills to resist. At least that's what I intend to prove.
What a horrible thing.
That's one of the things I love best about it. I need someone to introduce a controlled amount of Quell into the slaves' water supply, so that I can determine the proper dosage. Work is dangerous, there will be armed slaves everywhere, but your success will be well rewarded. What do you say?
I'm a little tied up at the moment.
This is an important opportunity to advance our Empire's ability to control its interests. Reconsider.
I have better things to do.
I'm not used to taking no for an answer, but I won't force you. Return if you change your mind. I've only just begun this operation.
Hell no, I'm not doing that. It's bad enough that we're basically aware we're going to have to kill a bunch of slaves just to get through here and accomplish what Lord Zash wanted. It would be much easier, everything would be much easier if I just went with a dark side. I suppose what you would normally expect of a Sith. I'll certainly be able to do more quests. I'm not concerned with that, though. I'm making a unique character of my own, and I am applying what they give you in the Sith Inquisitor storyline in it. And we are
Do you require medical attention?
probably from a Republic world and enslaved. We've got no reason to gnash our teeth and eat babies.
My lord? Look at them out there. They're like animals. Hundreds of slaves with no one to command them and without a thought in their minds as to what to do with their freedom. Like I said, the slaves are animals. But we've noticed strange behavior in the pack, and my superiors want to know more. Some of the slaves are killing each other. We don't know if they're mad or hungry, desperate, or if there's a faction of slaves who've turned on the rest.
You've been observing them. Give me your best guess.
I don't really know. Who can fathom the mind of a slave? We know that the killings are ritualistic. The murderous slaves come in the night, stab their foes, and paint themselves in blood. If you could investigate, catch them in the act and take them down, maybe you could find a clue to their motives.
I'll see what I can do. But I remember what it was like, being one of them.
Ah, yes. Yes, my lord, of course. Look for any slave who's turned on his peers. With luck, he'll lead us to answers.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the only time that the Sith Inquisitor mentions that they were a slave. Or acknowledges it, I should say. Kimval says, a Sith who cannot finish a statue does not deserve a statue. You got it, Kim. Let's see if we can survive this area without a companion. Surely it won't be too bad. I've gotten advice from others to try to not level with a companion. I probably mentioned this. To learn your class better, to have a challenge. Oh, I've already got 2. Oh, an elite. Oh, I'll probably get stomped. Oh, I've got all my archaeological plans. I had better talk to Lord Zash.
Does this mean you found them? You found the archaeological plans?
Of course, my master.
Fantastic. I never doubted you. Now, let me see. Ah, yes. How clever. There's a chamber hidden under the Colossus itself. I bet my complete collection of Naga Sado's Yavin 4 writings that you'll find what we're looking for in this chamber.
Tell me how to access this chamber.
There should be a hidden entrance near the Colossus. It looks like Skotia has an entire underground base. You're looking for a tablet. The tablet is the symbol of leadership of an obscure Trandoshan cult. The lizards believe it was a gift from their deity, the Scorekeeper. Skotia stole the tablet and uses it to exert control over his Trandoshan bodyguards. Give them their relic, and Skotia's power over his bodyguards will turn to vapor.
We'll leave Skotia undefended.
Exactly. You have a sharp mind, apprentice. The plans suggest Skotia's apprentices guard this base. I don't doubt they hold the keys to acquiring the Trandoshan tablet. Best kill them all to be sure.
Will do. Alright.
Beim Anfall.
Without Kimval, can we beat this elite? That was very easy. Kind of underwhelming. Okay. I love the opportunities for your character to say, you know, yes, my master, just like Vader. You're given a pretty comfy relationship with Lord Zash in this storyline. The Sith warrior has a little bit more antagonistic relationship with his or her master, which is probably how it was meant to be. But of course, you'll see how all this turns out. Definitely does not turn out simple. Alright, find the meeting point.
You are not the initiate. You are Sith. You honor us with your presence, mighty lord. Welcome to our prison.
What is this? Are you the one behind the killings?
I am Traga Unvor, leader of the Unchained. I am master of my hatred. When the other slaves broke free, I laughed. Like you, I knew their escape was a delusion. For only Sith possess true freedom.
I was a slave myself, before I became Sith.
Yes, mighty one. Then you do understand. I saw a chance to prove myself. I culled weak from strong. I began to kill and to teach. I showed slaves freedom through bloodshed. Now my followers and I are the masters here. And soon, we will become Sith ourselves.
By all means, continue.
We are hateful. We are powerful. We are free. In this way, we are already Sith. Now you can spread word of us to the Empire. Your strength is great. With your approval, we shall serve. Carry our message of allegiance to your masters, and we will become the new face of the Empire. We will be champions of the dark side.
The Empire will hear your message.
As it should be. Take this datapad, my plea to the Sith Lords. For now, I am not ready to leave the Colossus. With every kill, I feel my power grow. And there are many slaves who may yet join me. But soon, we will all be ready. We will await word from the Empire.
I wish you well.
Farewell for now. We return to the shadows.
So that was considered a dark side choice. The way I would think of it, however, is
I'm unfollow.
I think it's pretty clear that all these slaves are doomed. Pretty clear, I think. Therefore, the only ones that could really survive would be like that, some that we sent back to the Empire to prove some, to fulfill some purpose. So basically, yeah, they sounded pretty terrible, but this is the only way any slaves are gonna be useful at all. I've been forced to do some pretty terrible things already just to survive and become Sith. So I don't think it's particularly a dark side choice what I just did at all. I think the dark side choice would have just been to kill him where he stood, or kill any of the other cultists. You're already killing enough slaves. Why does Scotia have a base underneath a different Sith Lord statue? I think that if the statue belonged to Scotia, that would have been mentioned. He's already important to our storyline. Yeah, we don't need Kimball. Oh. First time getting force choked. That's nice, I suppose. Ooh, that's probably our second lightsaber battle. You can play at that game. At some point I will switch to a healing spec, bring my companion out, and practice healing on them as they're getting hurt, and myself. Just to get handy with it. One of my big ambitions is to one day heal for some group content. Just as I did ages ago in Vanilla WoW. And up to Wrath of Lich King, maybe? No, I barely. It was mostly in Mostly in vanilla. And Burning Crusade. God, I love Burning Crusade. The first time you set foot in Outland, and yeah, anyway, I shouldn't be talking about World of Warcraft in this game. That just doesn't feel right. I can shock you too and keep you bound up. So one thing this whole big bunker and complex full of enemies, an idea gives me. You can, what I've done in the past is if I have a quest, definitely not a story quest, a side quest that isn't critical to fulfill. If it unlocks an interesting area, what you can do is not finish that quest, keep it always active, and you will always have access to that location. So for an RP group, if you had a little bunker like this full of enemies just in your back pocket, you could take a group into that and do your private RP, with whatever enemies are present. And just not finish it and until it served its purpose, at least. There's a pretty spooky cave somewhere on Droman Cost that would make a good, if I can remember it. Maybe it's somewhere in the Dark Temple. Hold on to that for Sith ritual or something. That's something that'll impress your RP partner. Not only are we not required to just sit and RP in a cantina, I can take you to raid this, enemy bunker. Now, one thing that people have different opinions on is enemy combat RP. There are many different ways to do this, just as many preferences. What I started out doing when I first learned to roleplay online is it's weird. I'm glad I learned this way, but it is weird. What we did was the most raw instance of make-believe that I can describe. We would simply, I'm not sure how to describe it now. There was no GM. We didn't have GM'd events. Not at first. We all just went off the cuff and accepted each other's emotes, decisions in the RP, and played off of it. It was basically pure chaos, but most of us, we knew each other and trusted each other enough to go with it. And it was interesting. It was not as fun as later things I've done. But it taught me to truly improv and find how much that you can you can emote and feel satisfying in a battle. That's so vague I may as well not have even described it. Another method is to not take combat too seriously. And let's say that we had this bunker here. We held on to this quest so we could take a group into this little facility, and we've, reskinned it and recontextualized it to be, our enemy's stronghold or something. You could just kind of go through slowly, room by room, kill the guys, but kind of pause and describe your actions a little bit as you do so. You're basically just fighting and clearing it out, but doing it a little slower, pausing to throw a few emotes here and there of how you, maybe you have a sneaky character that scouts ahead. They can roleplay that. It's a great, I feel it's a great and easy way to do a combat RP without getting bogged down in the details. And I say bogged down in the details because of this. Another tried and true popular way is having some kind of RP battle system, where you have a GM'd event. Each of you take a turn, and you can do something during your turn. And you might be rolling using a dice bot in Discord to determine if you hit the enemy or not, or your actions succeed. It gives you an RPG game, effect. It's usually fair if they have a good system where you can actually build your character like you would in a tabletop role-playing game. It's interesting because there's some tactics involved, risk. You're role-playing, but you are not, the absolute arbiter of what happens to your character during that combat. And that can be an issue for better or worse. If you view your character as very important, very powerful, if he or she keeps missing in a combat and can't hit anyone, or gets really wounded by, what is thought of as a meaningless enemy, that can be kind of a blow to your pride that seems kind of anachronistic with your character's real powerful nature. Say you were a powerful Jedi or Sith. These battles can also get very bogged down in those turns and last forever. They could last hours. If everyone knows what they're doing and moves swiftly and rolls quickly, it can go a little faster, but it will always be slow. It can be a yawn snooze fest sometimes. It also requires the whoever's GMing the event to have some pre-planning involved, and they're going to be minding several different individuals, and it can be kind of stressful for them, a little bit of work. In my opinion, that's only good for a really important mission with your whole guild that will move your story forward. I find it incredibly tedious to do that at all, but it makes sense and it's worth it when you have a real important turning point in a story that involves a battle. When I first encountered that system, I hated it because I had began my RP journey with that really chaotic, I just describe what I'm doing to this fictional enemy, and so is the person next to me. Complete freedom. It can be as quick as you can type. Very moving, free-flowing, again, chaotic experience. So when I had this, you have to stand in place and wait for your turn to happen, that drove me nuts. But as I got more experience and learned more, I saw it's just necessary sometimes. I've been in a guild that had an incredibly detailed pretty fun battle system that I was very impressed with. I've made helped make a system and refine it over several iterations that I thought was pretty good. A little odd. If you're able to get everyone on board and they agree with the system, you could have a pretty smooth, easy time. But a lot of pre-planning, a lot of build-up. Let me get this person before I disconnect or something. Oh, really? Sorry, Lord Ogathu, you just weren't good enough. This little former slave came. Oh, we've got a bracer that's better than what we have. Ooh, we're moving on up. I may need those mid packs someday. Okay. Oh, I got a lightsaber that requires me to be light 1 or above. There are dark side, light side tiers that as you make those decisions throughout the story, your light side or dark side rating will increase, and it unlocks the ability to use certain equipment and several other things, I'm sure. Achievements too. We've got a little shirt here. Almost like the look of that. If I was to take off my helmet, I'll call it a mask. I don't like calling it a helmet. It would give us a hood. I really don't feel like having Elctha wear a hood. I can't articulate why either. I'm not sure. Partially because this mask does not allow for a hood. It will supersede any hood skin and just knock it right off. Well, that's not good. I had forgotten about that. That was a bit of a jump scare almost. But this mask, very important to me. When I thought of this character, the main thing was this mask, a very scrawny, withered, almost sickly character. That was just the very first seed. So I want to stick with the mask. Okay. Those battle systems, they can get crazy. And I feel they can be kind of overwhelming for a new player, but that depends on the player, of course. If everyone is not really quick, say you're using the Discord dice bot to determine if your character's actions succeed, if you take damage, anything like that. If everyone isn't quick on the draw, you've got to wait for someone to make that roll. It just takes forever. It's agonizing. If someone's AFK for a moment, their turn basically has to be skipped because you gotta keep moving. You gotta keep moving, or everyone will be sitting here for 3 or 4 or 5 hours.
Sight is like.
Now, granted, if you're with your friends, that's going to be a pretty fun 5 hours, more or less. But still, I feel the need, say you're organizing this whole thing. I would really feel the need to respect the player's time. Give them as most bang for their buck as possible. Get it done. Get some action in. Let their character accomplish some things. Shine, at least once or twice during the battle. And then move on. Because, unlike a tabletop role-playing game, like Dungeons and Dragons or something, combat RP is, as I've described, it's not the most interesting thing because it's so slow. When you're role-playing, it's your characters' interactions with each other, their personal story, their backstory, and more importantly, where they're going in their story. That's the real bread and butter. That's the good part of RP. Combat is just a necessary kind of diversion just to toss things up.
It's good to see you back. I knew those slaves couldn't hold their own against you. I take it you managed to track down one of the murderers. What's their story? Can we use them?
Here. Your answer is on this datapad.
This is madness. They're serious. Slaves who think they can become Sith.
Oh, here we go.
A slave can become Sith. Never forget that.
Yes, as you say. I'll inform Command. I'm not actually authorized to speak with Sith Lords on the blockade, but I'll make sure they know too. It's been an honor working with you. I hope we meet again.
What I meant to say earlier is that particular quest, if I recall, is the last time the fact that you were a slave gets brought up. I could definitely be wrong, but... Alright, now we need to go back to Lord Zash. Someday I'll have to make a very big video about RP battle. That'll be a daunting task. However, it's time to end this episode. I hope people spawn in right on me. How can I wave properly? Okay, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, or evening, and I'll see you next time on the next episode. Take care.